Hey guys, it's What's on My Work Table Thursday. Getting back to that here in the new year. Today I'm working with my Cameo Silhouette machine. Cameo Silhouette machine is a device for cutting stencils. Scrapbookers use it a lot to make little tags and little decorative things for the home and for gifting and stuff like that. I use it to make stencils, and I'll show you one that I designed myself. The cool thing about this machine is you can either shop the library that they have, and for 49 cents you can download some groovy patterns, which I have done, but you can also draw your own stencil and scan it in, and then they have this software that creates lines around it so that it will cut whatever you draw. And so I did this cellular kind of, one of my organic things, and I'll show you what I haven't really turned it into a piece of art or anything yet. Today I'm just kind of trying to learn the machine a little better. I bought it over a year ago. I'll tell you the funny story around that. So I had a girlfriend that had one, and she brought hers over for me to play with and experiment with. I said, "Oh, this is great." She said, "Yeah, her husband had needed it for a specific project, and they're not cheap, $200-300 or something, and he needed one for this thing, and so he bought it, and then it just sat in a closet." And she's like, "You can use mine anytime you want." And so I played with it. I'm like, "Oh no, I gotta have my own. I'll use it all the time, and I don't want to break yours, and you know how that goes." And she's like, "No, really, you can use mine." I'm like, "Oh no, I gotta get my own." So I buy this machine, and I do a couple stencils, and I'm loving it. I'm like, "Oh, this is so cool." But there is a learning curve. Like anything in life, there's a learning curve. And so I got a little frustrated with it, kind of let it sit and let it sit and let it sit. And so I didn't touch it for months and months and months and months. And so mine was kind of sitting in the corner too. So every now and then on New Year's Eve, we get together with a few friends and play in the studio. And my girlfriend Crystal, she said, "Hey, why don't we drag out our stencil cutting machines this year for New Year's Eve and invite people to make stencils?" So that's what we did. So that got me reinterested in mine. And so I'm working with it, troubleshooting it, and I'll show you some stencils that I've done and talk to you a little bit about the learning curve and stuff. So here's I got some plastic sheeting, and this is actually a pattern, whereas this is a pattern that I created myself by drawing. This is a pattern, haven't used it yet, that I downloaded from their library, and I really like it. It's pretty organic looking. I'm having difficulty cutting the plastic. When you cut these things, you end up, here I'll show you one I just did on paper. It cuts all these little holes, but you have to use a tool, like a dental tool or something, to go in and poke out all the pieces, like so. So if it's a good cut, you can really just poke them out with your hands and pull them, that sort of thing. I'm using this duplex paper. Here's one I just printed, and then here's one that I meticulously poked all the holes out of. I started working with the cardstock because I was getting frustrated with the stencil, the plastic stencil making stuff. And so I thought, well, I can use these cardboard stencils just as well. I can spray paint on these, and I can also cut these up as is and use them with my collage making. So, woo! So I'm really liking this. I'm liking this duplex paper. I'll show you a happy accident. An accident. I don't know how happy it is. What did I do with that? Oh, here it is. So I have this one that I printed earlier, or cut, didn't print. I sent through the cutter earlier, and I don't even know if you can see the score lines, probably not in this, but it scored it, but it didn't cut it all the way through, and I was frustrated because there's no poking it out, but I just kind of ripped it at the edge, and I thought, well, that's interesting, and then I kind of just started playing with it, and if I peel it just right, I can peel off, see, was there. I can peel off just where it won't make a hole, but because it lightly scored it, I can peel off this duplex paper And a duplex paper is a paper that is one color on one side and one color on the other side. So basically they've taken two pieces of colored paper and laminated them together. So with this weird little happy accident where it only halfway scored the paper, didn't cut it all the way through, I'm able to go in and peel these guys off, and I'm getting this pink on red pattern. It's kind of fun. Not what I was going for, but kind of fun anyway. So my goal today is just to better understand the machine, how to use the settings to get full, hard, decent cuts. I have had some success. I'll show you one that really worked out well, and maybe my blade is just getting dull, and that's why it's not cutting as well. I don't know. This is a really cool one. This is a pattern I got from their library. And with stencils, you can use the cutout portion. You lay this down, you spray paint on top of it, but you can also use the interior bits as a mask. So I can also lay this down and spray around it and pull it up, and this is called a mask. Anyway, so that's, I dropped something. So that's kind of what I'm doing today. Here's another little green mask from something I did. Here's another pattern. I like these. And with these, I don't know, like I say, I can use these to spray paint on, or I can just cut them up and use them as collage elements in some mixed media work. I'm not quite sure what's going to happen with it. I don't get to do any creative work today. I'm just kind of sitting and feeding the cutter and experimenting with my settings to try to get a nice, good cut. So if you have a Cameo and you have any tips and tricks, and you can share those in the comments below if you've played with this machine before. I'd love your input. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. Maybe next week I'll actually have some finished art pieces from this stuff, and I can show you what this stuff ends up being once I get them all cut out. So anyway, that's today. Thanks for watching, and have a good week.